Alright. I wanted to make this video for a while since BFA, but I never got around to making it. It's going to be a priest. I guess it's a guide. Definitely have some tips and tricks, but more of like a discussion on the character. I'm not exactly a priest main or master in this game, but I've played enough to have some good information for people, hopefully. So yeah, you know, I've played in BFA, I've played Mythic Plus and Raid. I haven't done that in Shadowlands. Shadowlands I've almost exclusively played Arena and 2v2. My 3v3 experience is very lacking on this character, unfortunately. So yeah, let's just get into it. So first off, in terms of the I'm going to be talking about Disciplined Priest because that's mostly what I play, but I will bring up Holy Priest, and I don't really have a well-cultured opinion on Shadow. So yeah, so really quick, between Holy Priest and Disc Priest for healers, my recommendation, if you were to pick up the character, would be to 100% play Disciplined Priest. Holy Priest is better, I think, but it's a lot harder to play, and it's way less fun. Disciplined Priest is one of the more fun characters you can play in the game. It doesn't have a lot of responsibilities or things it has to do besides fear, and then death, CC, and PvP. And its healing is pretty generic. If you want to AoE, you can just use Power Word Radiance, and you just penance an enemy with the atonement buff on. And Shadow Mend is a very powerful heal, and you have 2 spell schools, so in PvP it's really hard to kick you compared to other characters. And you have pretty good defensive cooldowns. It's just a very easy character to play. Holy Priest, its main healing from Holy Word Serenity is something that you have to cast spells in order to get cooldown of, which means that your big heal is dependent on your little heals, which means you constantly have to be pumping heals out while maintaining mana efficiency, and you can get caught without heals up, whereas Disc never really has that problem. They just and don't have as much output. So there's certain situations where Disc Priest cannot heal through the damage, whereas Holy Priest can. There are situations where Disc can heal better than Holy, but for the most part, Holy Priest is more raw healing, at least in PvP. I'm not entirely... I know in PvE that Disc Priest is very raid ready. It was quite raid ready in BFA as well, though I think Holy was a bit better. But I know that the World First Race was one with Disc Priest used for DPS, and because of that they actually nerfed Disc's damage for Shadowlands. Holy Priest does more damage, so I should show that really quick. So if you look at Smite, my Smite says 1,200 damage, and this is true. This is Purge the Wicked, not Shadow Word Pain, but it's true of all the moves. Oh wow, the Shadow Word Death went down. Is that new? Yeah, so the Smite here does 500 more damage on Holy Priest. I thought the Shadow Word Death was higher though, so that's pretty surprising. It looked like it went down by 100. But yeah, so Holy Priest has Holy Fire, which is really good. Shadow Word Pain does 3,600 damage over time. And yeah, for Purge the Wicked, actually, which buffs your Shadow Word Pain by a lot, is less than Shadow Word Pain on Holy Priest. So putting up a Shadow Word Pain on Holy Priest, if you were Shadow Word Pain on Disc Priest, you would, like, yeah, the damage is way higher on Holy now, basically, because of the World First Race at BFA. So that's something to know, that Disc in Shadowlands has less damage than it used to. So in terms of mana efficiency, Holy is probably better, but Disc is a lot better in Shadowlands than BFA for mana efficiency. So in the beginning of BFA, Disc was like amazing with mana. Then it got a big mana nerf. I think it got 2 mana nerfs. And by the end of BFA in 8.3, Disc was really bad again for mana. It's one of it was the fastest ooming character, I think, period. And now in Shadowlands it feels a lot better, not a bit better, it feels significantly better. I feel like my mana is not going as fast. So that's a quick overview. Holy Priest got more damage, bigger heals, but its healing is more gimmicky, so it's very difficult to pull out. Whereas Discipline has 2 spell schools and has very on-demand healing, even though it ooms and has less overall power or output. So that can make it really useful. So yeah, it does overall. So it does more damage because you have more uptime of damage, but its individual spells do less for the most part. So Holy can't really excuse casting spells because it wants to cast heal, whereas on Disc, your damage is your healing because of Atonement, transferring your damage to healing. So that lets you actually use your healing moves more often. So to get into the talents really quick, this is the talent setup that I'm running for PvP and just in general. So I think the things that I would probably never change are Psychic Voice, Purge the Wicked, and Lenience. So I know that Evangelism is like a raid-ready talent. I've never liked playing with it, but you know, go for it. I don't really want to advise on raiding since I don't have raiding experience in Shadowlands, but Lenience is just the easiest to use by far, the most basic, and is just generally good. So when in doubt, just use Lenience. Spirit Shell was obviously really cool, but it was only good in PvE, and they nerfed it in PvE, so that sucks. But I think this is cool, but I can't condone using it in PvP because it's just, you really need the healing output usually. And now that it's 80% of the value, it's just not really worth it. Spirit Shell is primarily used for predicting incoming damage. So in PvE, if a big slam is coming, and you know that, you stack up the Spirit Shell, you get a lot of value, right? But in PvP, you can't really do that. It's always just constant incoming damage and outputting damage, so you never get that big stack, so you're just losing value. And you lose Rapture, and Rapture is a massive cooldown in PvP for saving people's lives. You press it because you can't get kicked. Now the shield can get dispelled, but if you don't get dispelled, you basically one of your outs. It's one of your outs, so losing Rapture is too bad. So Contrition is something I've always thought was good since BFA in PvE scenarios, so you can penance your tank or your teammates and not lose value, but I haven't noticed that as much in Shadowlands, though I haven't PvE as much. In PvP, I have found almost no value from Contrition ever, but I would consider using it in PvE encounters. In general, I just take Sins of the Many, even though it's not that good and it's nerfed in PvP. It's just, you know, it's just the only talent this year that's really worth it. Psychic Voice, you can definitely Shining Voice people, but I just prefer not to even bother. 30-second Scream is just, should be baseline, honestly. Purge the Wicked to me is just, they even buffed Halo and Divine Star. Divine Star is really good, but no, I mean, it's just way too annoying to use, and Purge the Wicked is just kind of, I feel like it's just its iconic move, and it's powerful. I don't think it's as powerful as BFA, but it's pretty good. This tier, Solace is what most people you'll see use. I personally don't like using Solace because it's a waste of a global, and what I mean is that your teammates are low, and you press power with Solace, which you have to get mana efficiency. You're basically healing them for extremely low amounts, and you're not going to get them out of danger. It's more of like a really minor HOT. And because it's like your main mana gain, you basically have to press it on cooldown if you want to be mana efficient. So the damage portion of it is actually pretty high. If you see 2000 is about a Shadow or Death without being low HP, which is pretty nice. So I would recommend it if you're trying to kill people, but I find Mindbender is a lot better. You only have to press it once a minute, and you can run this conduit that I run. My conduit is shit, to get a bit of extra value from it, to get some mana back. That's what I've been doing. Shield Discipline is something I wish was good, but I've tested in BFA and Shadowlands, and it just never works for me. I don't know what else to say about it. This tier, I have run Masochism, which is really, really powerful in PvP. I never use Angelic Feather because it's not my preference, but it is more mana efficient. And Body and Soul is just, I like it on the Leap of Faith, and it's just kind of the way I like to play. It's a really easy move speed increase, and Shield puts your atonements up. It was a lot better when you used to be able to play Trinity, but now that Trinity is nerfed because it doesn't buff your helmet healing, you know, I think Body and Soul is definitely a lot worse. But I like Masochism. I don't like using Feather. Feather is totally cool if you like using Feather. It's really good. This tier, I've never really tested Schism. I've never been a fan of it. In BFA, I didn't really like using it, and I don't like using it now. Twist of Fate is powerful when it procs, but its uptime is so low, it's almost a waste of a talent. But I will say it is like not that bad to take. I find Castigation to just be the most generically useful and has the highest uptime, and you know, can damage and heal. So it's just kind of a straight up buff. So I just take Castigation. In terms of these, I run Improved Master Spell, even though you don't need it every game. I just run it generically because I don't like swapping my talents. This thing is ridiculously good. The cast time on Improved, I can actually show it if I go War Mode. Well, actually, okay, so yeah, I don't want to waste your time actually. So this is with it. It makes it super fast. I can show without it after, but let me just show it with the cast time reduction. Here we go. There it is. It's super fast. So that's something that I think is insanely good and really powerful. Instant Radiance got nerfed, 100% increased healing, which is crazy. To be fair, they got a Conduit, this expansion that buffs the healing, so maybe it was necessary to nerf it. But yeah, I think it's still good. I don't run out of mana nearly as much as I used to, and yeah, I think it's good. I can actually show the Master Spell. So this is Master Spell without War Mode. Look at that cast time. Anyway, so that's really good to get blocks off. You can't really get kicked and interrupted. I run Blaze of Light because it's just like pretty decent. I've tried like everything. This is great against Rogue Mage. Like actually, almost mandatory. I feel like against Rogue Mage, it's really powerful. Dome of Light, I just don't feel like it's necessary anymore. In BFA, I use this all the time. No, I don't really like it. Strength of Soul is a bit too weak to consider, and I'm not dying to melees that much when I have decent gear. Archangel, I never use. Dark Arc, I've tried, but it's kind of awkward to fit in. But obviously, you know, it's good if you have like a setup comp. Thought Seal, I literally never use, so I have no idea if it's good. And Interlight and Shadow is just way too frustrating. To, like, you have to do it every single arena and press the buttons, and you know the value you get from it is not that great, so I don't like using it. Alright, those are the talents. I'll talk a bit about the gearing now, and then I will talk about the playstyle, and then, I mean, that's basically it. Gonna not make this take an hour. So, the gearing, I was running crit first for PvP originally, because I wanted to hit big Shadowmen crits and stuff, but I ran, because I had low haste, I can't cast Mind Control. So once I started getting more gear, and I didn't need to have like this insane healing output to keep up with a lot of the gear abusers on ladder, I swapped over to haste, and I've basically stuck with haste the rest of the way. Haste, I think crit is better, because if you hit a Radiance crit, especially in 3v3 or RBGs and stuff, your Radiance will like top everyone. So crit was definitely a good choice in my opinion, but at the same time, you get a shitty GCD and you can't, like, you never can cast Mind Controls. And I couldn't go for MDs before they added this MD talent in 9.1. It wasn't in 9.0. So in 9.0 when I was playing crit, it was like painful as fuck to play to use Mind Control and MD. So those moves are just off the table. And you also can't get panic heals out if you need them, which is kind of important to get tempo. Like if people are killing you, you don't really need a big heal, you just need to get a little bit to not die. So then I swapped haste in a 9.1, and I wouldn't say I fell in love with it, but I definitely feel like a better character. I just wish the mastery wasn't so worthless. The old mastery that increased your shield amount and stuff when the shield was big was like way cooler. So yeah, basically I'm just haste first. You get fast casts, you get mind controls off, and you can MD really fast. So I think haste is the best, and versatility obviously for PvP. I even gemmed for haste just to get a little more. I should probably gem for versatility, but enchants, I just copied whatever enchants for PvE. 20 in. I went 6 mana, but maybe you should go 30 stats. This one is kind of important for speed, and I think that's it. Yeah, you get 15 intellect and celestial guidance, so that's that. I run all PvP gear. I want to get the set bonus. I run relentless because I'm human. If I wasn't human, I'd probably run trinket. I think trinket right now 9.1 is a lot better. I think relentless in BFA was pretty good, maybe even OP, but now I feel like trinket is way better to kind of mess with people's setups on you. So yeah, I run trinket on like all my characters when I used to run relentless, but on human, because I have the human racial, I feel like it's okay to run relentless basically. Hey, you know what, Aratanio? It is sad. I don't know if this is going to become a conversation, but yeah, it's 100% sad. I actually totally agree with you. Alright, so anything else? No, that's basically the gear. Haste, so I have a crit ring. Maybe it should be master, I don't think so. These are enchanted for versatility. Yeah, I decided my gear the best I could. Obviously I'm missing 3 pieces still, but I'm really close to fully geared, so just need to hit 2100 and I can upgrade. Alright, so that's the gear. It's PvP, so there's not much. In PvE, I don't know. Look up the Warcraft logs. I don't know what stats they're running, honestly. I still think versatility is probably good, but the problem is PvP gear doesn't scale in PvE, so you're never going to be able to use like PvP gear in PvE, which I think would have been pretty cool. You used to be able to do it kind of in other expansions, so it was bad, but now you literally can't do it. Well, you can't compete basically if you do it. Yeah, alright, so basic gameplay stuff, that's where I'll finish this video off, because I talked about all the boring shit. So, basic gameplay. I personally, so in BFA I used to penance the enemy all the time for damage. Now, I almost never penance. Oh, I didn't talk about legendaries. Well, this kind of has to do with it. So I'm actually running the Shadowmen legendary. Yeah, so what I was saying is that basically I penance my teammates now. I almost never penance the enemy unless I really can, because penance is such a valuable heal, and disc's damage is just so low, especially without having like Crucible of Flame, which I was using a lot. It doesn't have offensive pressure the way it used to, so I put all my effort basically into keeping my teammate alive, and adding power infusion to the character makes it so I'm more of a support than I used to be. In BFA I definitely felt more like a DPS character. Now I feel a lot more support based, and yeah, so you really want to get a teammate that's really powerful and basically keep them up. So the legendary I run because of this is Shadowmen. I have not tried Penitent 1, and I really want to try it, so I'm going to craft that next. I have a Kiss of Death. I wouldn't recommend it. It's theoretically good, but, you know, Shadow or Death is just not that great of a move to press, and it doesn't actually happen that much, unless you're versing, like, maybe in 3s, but I crafted this because theoretically it's good. It makes your Shadow or Death really short cooldown, but in practice I just couldn't really find a good place for it. This one I tried forever, and it's so fucking weak. It's just not worth it in my opinion. Like, yeah, you get this Thorns effect, and on Rapture you can get really big damage, but, you know, it just never worked out for me. Never used this. This one is definitely good unless you verse Mage and they spell steal. This one is definitely good. I would use this one. I really want to try this one. Cephas is okay, but I run Relentless, so I don't run it. I don't know how good this one would be. I thought about it, but, you know, you get dispelled. And yeah, I've never tried Vault of the Heavens. I don't think it's worth it. If I was Necrolord, I would probably use the Necrolord one. But I am running the Shadowman Legendary, and I have had crazy success with this Legendary. I feel like super underrated on Disc Priest. I know a lot of people have, they use it on Shadow Priest, and then it got nerfed. I have hit, in an arena, I think I hit a 41k Shadowman, unironically crit, which is just disturbing. I hit 34ks very consistently with it, and I find it to be extremely powerful. Unfortunately, you know, when you do have to spam Shadowmen, you can't get it stacked up, but it has really changed my gameplay, so I would strongly recommend the Shadowmen Legendary. Alright, anyway, really quick, gameplay tips. Oh yeah, so this is a big gameplay. I use Pain Suppression Conduit. Pain Suppression Conduit is sketchy because if you get stunned by a rogue and you get Mind Games by a priest, you can't pain sup yourself because you'll kill yourself. But other than that kind of situation where you're stunned and there's a priest on the other team, and you need to use the pain sup in that stun, and you don't want to trinket the stun, then this legendary, or not legendary, this conduit is fucking amazing. This is like my savior, at least in 2v2. It's literally like one of the best conduits you could ever dream of. Adding that huge amount of heal onto your pain sup is like exactly what the move needs. Oftentimes I would pain sup and I'd have to penance, and then I get kicked on my penance, and basically my teammate is so low it's almost irrelevant. They just get pushed over into a losing situation, and we either lose then, or he stays alive because of the damage reduction, and then, you know, we lose later. So this legendary, putting the damage reduction on, adding such a massive heal, saves it basically makes the move like worth 3-minute cooldown. It's not normally, in my opinion, worth a 3-minute cooldown. Other tips, Dome. I don't run Big Dome a lot because monks are very prevalent and they can bring a piece you out of it, but in general it's not that great to stand still on Disc Priest, so you can run Small Dome and bait people to use stuff. So if you Dome against a monk and they knock you out of the Dome, it's like, you know, it doesn't matter because it's 3 minutes and it was kind of low anyway. Big Dome is definitely good if you want to verse Kiri and Speared Warriors, and you could probably Dome a lot of the spears, but yeah, I don't know. It's not worth it, but you know, that's when you would use Dome. Power Infusion. Power Infusion is a big move for priests. I never use it against mages because I don't want to get spell stolen. If a fire mage spell steals your Power Infusion, very, 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 very bad. I have lost a lot of games. They get super fast polymorphs off, and they just get easy setups, and they can reset their combustion and stuff, and like, you know, it's a complete nightmare. So I just never press it, just in case. Specifically in 2s. Maybe in 3s you can get away with it more. I haven't played as much, but in 2s it's like, it's a lose to get spell stolen on Power Infusion. Other than that, Power Infusion is fucking amazing. Anybody you're playing with, you Power Infuse them on their big CDs, you just win the game. I would recommend playing Arms Warrior is pretty good to play with Power Infusion if they run Spear, but it doesn't affect Convoke on Druid at all. Convoke, it doesn't get affected by haste. As far as I'm aware, it just casts like the same speed anyway. Maybe you get some extra moves out, I don't actually know, but I would recommend it on Rogue, it's pretty good, but on Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin is the dream. Power Infusing a Ret Paladin is like literally godlike in my opinion. It makes them so strong, so if you want to look for characters, or like, I haven't played with a lot of Warlocks, but D. Sherlock is definitely a character, like even Afflick Lock, that you would want to Power Infuse. Anyway, I penance my teammate almost every time. I run Instant Radiance to get through the kicks. If I get kicked Shadow, and my penance is down, I can Instant Radiance. I run Shadowmen Legendary, so I try to save that, get big Shadowmens off. Feel free to spam Shadowmen. Dispel is it's just Dispel, you know, double Dispel is great against Rogue Mage. Death, you got a Death CC. On Priest, you really got a Death CC. It's not as big this patch, but it's definitely a huge deal, so you can win a lot of games by deathing CC. Yeah, you can Desperate Prayer and then use Pain Sup with the Conduit to get a big heal. Mindbender on cooldown. I will point this out about Mind Games. So Mind Games is like fucking insanely good. I didn't play Mind Games the whole time. I played Necrolord and Night Fae. I played a lot of Night Fae on this character. I played Necrolord on another priest. And when I went to Mind Games on this priest, I just literally never wanted to go back. It's so broken. So even if they would dispel the Mind Games, so first of all, Mind Games completely counters Druids and Shamans if they run Ancient Guardian, and Holy Priest if you Wings proc them. But specifically against Druids, auto regen, it's insane. And it's worse against Prop Paladins now because they have a Dispel, which is crazy, but it used to be good against Paladins, basically, and Prop Paladins. Anyway, the thing to know about this is that even if it gets dispelled, it does such a big hit of damage, it's amazing for atonement healing. Even in BGs and AoE healing, like, it's my best atonement heal, so I actually will use this just to get the damage out to get a big atonement heal off. So that's something to keep in mind. It's very low mana compared to a Shadowmend, and it can heal, it can't heal a really similar amount, but it can get a lot of pressure, so it's worth pressing anyway if you can. Door of Shadows, I run Door of Shadows and Naja. I like playing Naja for the haste buff and getting the verse buff, I think is really good, but mainly I run it for this, so melees can get off of me easier. I think this is really big. I do run Agent of Chaos, you know, Door of Shadows and then Fear. It kind of messes with your Fear, but you get the same CC and you get a confirmed Fear. Fear is DR'd by it, so you get a 3-second Disorient in PvP actually, and then you get a 3-second Fear. It's just like a 6-second Fear. I think it's totally fine to run. And it lets you get a guaranteed Fear if you hit someone with it, so, yep. Anyway, oh yeah, this is also a really good conduit, I will say, so, yeah, the gameplay on Priest, besides all that stuff on the different moves, you know, that's just basic Priest stuff. What I would recommend is, know that you're not one of the strongest characters in the game and play accordingly. Priest's worst matchups are definitely that I found versus like very automatic damage characters. Priest has good cooldowns to counter burst damage, but it struggles against like BM Hunters, ASAS Rogues, Afflick Locks are really scary, Shadow Priests. They're just really difficult matchups for Priest, for Disc Priest at least, because your cooldowns aren't nearly as effective. You know, the Warlock's dotting you, you Pain Sup, it's like, okay. But you know, if a Ret Paladin wings, his Pains Up is really good. So that's something to keep in mind. Mind Control is very mediocre, but Fear is very powerful. If you're gonna play comps, I would recommend finding a Hunter to play with. Fearing off of a trap or trapping off of a Fear is one of the best CCs in the game right now, in my experience. It's one of the most successful times I've had playing Priest. I haven't played every comp as Priest, but Hunter is definitely one of my preferred characters. Hunter and like Ret Paladin, I think, are some of the best characters to queue with as Priest. I would not recommend playing with Feral, even though everyone does it, because you DR like all your CC and the Feral just doesn't even need your heals. It's just really awkward. It's not that bad, it's just very awkward. Priest Warrior is okay. It's not that good, it's not that bad. Priest Rogue is better than those three. Priest Paladin, Ret Paladin, is better than all of those. And Priest Hunter to me is just the top dog. Like Priest Hunter is one of the best comps I've ever played in 2v2 and in 3v3 actually. And the 3s I played in 9.0 and 9.1. So yeah. Anything else to go over? I mean, I can't really get into like crazy specifics because I don't really have like a VOD to review. Maybe I should like get that together. Record a gameplay or something and just like go over what's going on. I don't think I'm gonna do that, but you know, who knows? It's an idea. Yeah, any other like tips or tricks? If you really need to and you're afraid of getting dispelled, you can cast Levitate on yourself to make them like miss a dispel or something, but I never do that, but that's like a thing you can do. Make sure to use Rapture on cooldown basically. You don't even have to use it on big cooldowns, just like to get your HPS up, because Disc Priest falls behind on HPS really hard. It's really not one of the best healers in the game. Like, it's definitely weak. Its main strengths are having Shadow or Death, which, you know, Holy Priest has as well. Having 30-second Fear, which Holy Priest gets as well. And in general, having 2 spell schools and kind of having like pretty consistent healing, which no one else has. So if you can find a way to abuse those, you can definitely get a lot of wins, but I wouldn't really, it's not like a Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman is very easy, very powerful. It can defend itself with Grouting Totem and Kick. It has Earth Grab Totem for melees. Ghost Wolf, it can get an Earth Ellie Totem. The Legendary is really powerful in 2v2. It has basically everything, and it has like infinite mana, so Disc Priest is just literally not like that. I wouldn't really say it's like the hardest character to play. Disc Priest is pretty brain dead, but it's definitely not a very powerful character in the grand scheme of things. It's more just a character that you play for fun. So, yeah. I can't really speak on Holy Priest because I haven't grinded it out. I'm not like the best Holy Priest ever. And Shadow, I don't really play Shadow, so yeah, I can't really think of anything else to say. And yeah, I guess that's where I'll end the video. Thanks for watching, and shout outs to the world. See ya.